Hey, Terry, now you're going to recite the Declaration. I think because I was listening to a version by John Kennedy on my computer this morning. I think from start to finish, it's about 12 minutes long. So we're going to ask you to break it up so we come to some natural stopping points. Is that okay for you?
Well, I wasn't going to do all the 27 usurpations in the middle, so mine's like about half that amount of time.
Okay, that's good. So if you want to do the whole thing since about 5-6 minutes?
Yeah, I'd kind of like to. I think the continuity is there.
Okay, good. Yeah, because the 27 usurpations make it quite lengthy.
Yeah, I just do a few of those. The ones that stuck out to me that had the most impact, like taxing us without our consent.
Okay, great. So, well, it's all yours, and then when you end it, we'll discuss it a little bit, and we have to be out, obviously, by the top of the hour for news breaks and different things, but we do have about 15 minutes here.
I just wanted to preface it with a little background. The purpose of the Declaration was to, the foreign allies of the Patriots, the French and the Spanish, they requested that a formal Declaration of Independence be made so that they could more fully support the revolutionaries with funds. I suppose if it was just Virginia, they wouldn't feel like they didn't want to invest in just one colony. So they wanted to, even though 80 cities up to that point had declared their independence around the colonies, they wanted a formal declaration of that. So delegates met in Philadelphia. And the primary author, of course, is Thomas Jefferson from Virginia. And he, just want to throw this in here, that he wanted to include a clause denouncing the practice of slavery that King George was involved in there in the colonies. But he was persuaded by Benjamin Franklin and others to exclude that clause because they knew that the Southern colonies wouldn't buy into that. So they wanted the solidarity. So you have to start with what you have and then go from there. So.
Right. You mean not tear down everything, destroy it, burn it down, kill everybody, and then think you may have a good idea?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I mean. That's okay. Articulated, yes.
All right. I believe Benjamin Franklin never owned any slaves, if I'm correct.
That I don't know.
I'm almost certain he didn't. But go ahead, Terry. Any other comments? And then you could go right into it.
Well, like I say, Jefferson was the primary architect, and so let's listen in on Thomas Jefferson as he reviews the final draft of the document with the people gathered in Philadelphia. In Congress, July 4, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has imposed taxes on us without our consent. He has taken away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. Oppression after oppression, I hereby submit more than a score of additional grievances to be included within the text of this declaration. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the leader of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be,
free and independent states,
that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was great.
It was great. You know, we really,
real quick, Steve, I followed along in the little booklet, and Terry didn't miss a word.
you didn't miss a word. That's wonderful. And, reminded me, Terry, of the other thing that Jefferson said in a letter. He was talking about the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
Right.
The blood of patriots and tyrants. Both of those bloods need to be shed. What was Jefferson thinking there?
I don't know, I've got to recover from that.
Oh, well, that's okay. That was tremendous. I mean, I've never heard Thomas Jefferson so good. You had his cadence and his verbiage. It was wonderful.
Thank you.